Okay, we're at the front door. And I'm not wearing gloves. I'm not wearing a mask because I'm outside. About to change. Right here we got a crack through the brick and mortar right here above the left side of the front door. We also got some little minor diminished cracks. There's a few of those around the exterior receptacle outlet. This is underneath the front porch. I get that. So, but you might want a in-use cover. I'll show you one of those in a moment. It says it's GFCI protected, but it's not. These front porches are kind of like the pergola porches, post columns. They have these little curbs built around them, so it cannot be determined at the time of inspection whether stands were actually installed beneath them. And the stand would raise it up a little bit so that water doesn't wick up and cause premature rotting. But we can't tell. Coming along here, this is the downstairs guest bedroom, and we got cracks between the masonry and the brickwork there. We got some over here. You see that beautiful stain right there? There's two reasons for that, and the separation between the window and the mortar, the masonry. Two reasons for that. One, this rain gutter is too close. They're supposed to be 2 inches away from the wall, and then there's supposed to be kick-out flashing to divert the water. There's nothing diverting that water. That water. Hillbilly home inspections. There's nothing diverting the water into the rain gutter. This one not so critical. There should be kick-out flashing there as well. It's not the most attractive stuff, and we got this one crack. It extends all the way up to that little brick feature right there. That's a masonry cornice. We'll talk about one of those a little further along. There's our garage. We'll have a garage video. Trees shouldn't be any closer to structure than 25 feet to allow for roots to grow and keep it from growing up next to the house. All this wood mulch across the front, south side of the home. Now that's conducive to wood destroying insects. We like it. I get that. The rain gutter, you should not discharge water directly onto the roof covering. There's a better one. Not a better one. There's a better example over the front porch. It's not. It happens a lot, but it's not. We're not supposed to do that. Then over here, this is your main sewer clean out, and then we're missing a main sewer clean out cap. And what I haven't seen is a main water shutoff valve. I haven't seen one of those yet. But we come along here. I can't really show you, but this is where the sump pump discharges. There's a short video I've done about that already. This is the water meter to the home, and this box should be excavated so that you can get around and you can turn the water off. There's the valve right there. Inside this valve, inside this irrigation box, that valve, that little chrome and black sprocket in the center, it's called a flow indicator switch. Some people call them cheater wheels or cheater paddles. And if that's moving, then fresh water is moving into the house, into the structure. So if the water's not someplace that you can see moving, like a sink or something, then it's someplace you can't see, because if that little valve is moving, if your water bill's high, come out here and look at this. That's the way I found it, but I'm going to put it back a little better. This is the backflow prevention device, the check valve for the lawn sprinkler system. It's supposed to be serviced every year, and nobody does that. I get that. You got some good clearance underneath it. We got some rusty handles. On it. Now, this installation was perfectly fine when this home was built. But if it was built today, you'd have a main shutoff valve right back here. You got the isolation valves, but you don't have a main shutoff valve. It hardly looks like you got a double check valve. I don't even think there's a double check valve. Huh. Okay. We're servicing. Coming along here, the only hard fast rule is there's no hard fast rules. But generally speaking, and this might be a community, it might be a homeowners association thing, but generally speaking, whoever has the high ground, in theory, this retaining wall is the neighbor's responsibility. Now, the second thing about it is if a retaining wall is farther from a structure than twice its height, that's a 45-degree angle. If it's farther from the structure than twice its height, then in theory, it shouldn't have any effect on the foundation. That being said, okay, in theory, this could have some effect on the neighbors. The neighbor's supposed retaining wall is close enough to them that it might affect the foundation. Coming on along, these are called shrinkage cracks. Some people call them corner pops. Call it what you will. That's not a foundation issue. It's not a foundation issue. If it's within the span of a hand, and I don't know whose, and it's coming this direction. Now it supports the brickwork, the masonry, so it might be a masonry issue. Looks like somebody's come in here and put some parge coat on that. It's kind of like tape frosting. So it looks like somebody's kind of addressed it before, but that's not a foundation issue. We got some erosion along here. That is a foundation issue. And then all along here, we've got these surface drains, and I guess they go to a sump pump someplace. I don't know. This isn't a sump pump. I've opened this. This is Verizon stuff. That's Verizon stuff. That's not a sump pump. I still can't find a sump pump. But I saw it work. There's sump pump controls. Electric meter. Grounding rod is probably buried. Electric meter should be sealed on 3 sides. This equipment's beyond the scope of what I do. This is the gas meter. By the way, we're on the east side of the garage. East side of the garage. That's the bonding for the electrical system. Which, by the way, I was in the attic there for a moment, and the electrical system, it's PEX. PEX doesn't have a good reputation. We'll talk about that later. This is called an in-use cover. We can plug stuff in, Christmas lights and stuff, and use it. So you might want something like that on the front porch. I don't know. But it's not GFCI protected. I haven't found anything that's GFCI protected before. These are the condensing units. This is called, that is your lawn sprinkler weather sensor. This is called a control joint. Some people call them expansion joints. Call it what you will, but we expect the structure to move. That's why the street out there has lines in it. Those are control joints. They expect the concrete to move. So we want to control that. And obviously this has moved. Obviously this has moved. Now, I know that you could say that the sealant is shrinking and pulling away, and you're supposed to service it. I get that. But I think that's more than just shrinking sealant. That's movement. I'm not sure what this vent is for. It's not good to have a vent this close to your condensing units. I don't think it's the laundry vent though, judging from what I saw in the garage. Electric disconnects, they're not supposed to be behind the unit. They're supposed to be sealed on 3 sides. This is what they look like. That's how they're wired up. When this home was built 13 years ago, this was acceptable. But about 2015, by today's standards, this would be a rigid insulation. So, and then these are called Schrader valves, service ports. Those are Schrader valve caps. And we're missing a Schrader valve cap right there. 90% of your leaks happen at these service ports, the valves, the Schrader valves. 90% of them happen there. So a cap is a good idea. They're not expensive. discuss it at all. These are the data plates. The data plates, and what that tells us, what these data plates tell us is that these are SEER 14 units, which is good, still good, even though it's 13 years old. It tells us that this is a 5-ton unit, probably for downstairs. This is a 2-ton unit, most likely for upstairs. It tells us that the refrigerant in these units, it tells us that these units are 13 years old. They're engineered on paper to last 14, excuse me, they're engineered on paper to last 20. 20 years they're engineered to, but they never do. Las Vegas will give you 14 years. After 14 years, they've done just about everything they're going to do. We're going to see how well they're performing today, but they don't have a lot of tomorrows left. They just don't. And the refrigerant inside of these units, the data plate also tells us that we've got R22. R22 is not very efficient. They're kind of efficient. They're 14 SEER already. But R22 is not very efficient. But most important about R22 is it's no longer manufactured in the United States, no longer imported in the United States. Yes, they do have a stockpile. You can buy it. It's very expensive. So just about every technician that comes out here to service this, you're going to hear this. Might as well hear it from me. Every technician that comes out here is going to tell you this is the old stuff. It's expensive. Why don't you update to a more energy efficient system? They're going to sell you that and sell you that and sell you that. There might be a couple technicians that say, well, we've got a drop-in refrigerant. It doesn't have to be R22. You don't have to get the new R410. We've got a drop-in. But the drop-ins are 15-30% less efficient than what you have already. And when another technician comes in and sees that you've got the alternative drop-in refrigerants, then they're really not going to want to work on it. So it's just, according to the Texas Real Estate Commission, is it working? Is it performing the function for which it's intended or not? Was it installed properly? And we got a couple of issues over here, or not? Or is it a safety issue, which I'm not really seeing. But you need to get your thinking in that direction. Just saying. See these holes right here? These holes? That tells us it's a post-tension slab. Post-tension slab. It means there's cables running through the cement that were tightened when the foundation was poured. There's a couple different styles of post-tension slab, and we don't know which style it is, but we do know it is a type of post-tension slab. These holes right here, these are called weep holes. Okay, home ownership 101. Might as well get up used to this. All roofs leak. All walls leak. We design them to shed water faster than they accept it. We want to keep the inside dry. These weep holes help us do that. They help us achieve that. So these in your soffit vents. Soffits, what we're looking up at the soffit, those little holes are the vents. And these little pipes right there, that's your secondary drain lines for your air conditioning systems. So if that's leaking, you know you have a problem. That's why they place them in front of a window. That's by design. So if they weren't placed in front of a window, I would have called that deficient. Now if we look at this one on the right, and right here on the right, you see a little bit of rust up in there. See a little bit of rust up in there. So we've had a problem with it before. After 13 years, you're going to have a problem with some air conditioning. Nobody gets out that lucky. Okay, the rain gutters discharge water below the grade. They come to these surface drains, and then they go out somewhere to a sump pump that I saw it work. And right here, we've had hail. Those are hail dings. Hail's moved through here. Another control joint. See, this one's not separating like that one. And it's the same age. So it's not the separation, it's movement over there. Coming on along, see all this moss? This green? I don't know if this camera's picking this up. That means it stays wet over here. This is the east side too. This is not even the north side. So we've got ongoing moisture issues along here. Yes, you do want to water your foundation. It should never get dry, so dry that it pulls away from the ground. Should never get so dry that it pulls away from the foundation. And it should be even all the way around. You don't want this side real wet and the other side real dry. This is expansive clay soil. It expands and contracts about 3 inches between when it's completely hydrated and completely dehydrated. These flagstones, watch out. Granny might trip on these. Granny might trip on these. And then we've got wood mulch that's too close to the structure there. And we got our back faucet. Now, on the lawn sprinkler systems, these spray heads, they're not supposed to be closer than 12 inches to the structure. They always are. They always are. No one's going to move those for you. I hope so. I would never dissuade my client from seeking perfection, but good luck on getting somebody to move those for you. But, yeah, they're too close. This is the pergola back here, and it's bolted up really nice. And, yeah, I can't tell whether there's been stands installed underneath it. And this is called checking. Believe it or not, this does not affect the strength of the column. It's hard for me to believe, but I'm telling you, I mean, that's what I was told. I'm just a mockingbird. So, you know, it's an aesthetic issue. Speaking of aesthetic issues, this is a beautiful fireplace. Beautiful fireplace. We've got a couple problems with this fireplace, though. We've got a couple of issues. One, you don't need an energy-saving glass front. You're outside. It's a wood-burning fireplace. I guess it's wood-burning. It looks like it's plumbed for gas. Look there. There's a little gas pipe right there. Huh. How about that? I wonder if there's a... Oh, well, there's the other half of the gas pipe. It doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't do anything. So you could, you know, if you wanted to get some gas. There's another pipe down there. Wow, we're looking at all kinds of stuff. Water's just standing behind here. What are you... Yeah, just a loose gas pipe. Alright. That's all you are. But the chimney. The chimney does not extend at least 3 feet above the roof. We've got a little cover on this roof. The chimney does not extend high enough. It may not draw properly. That might be why you have some of this rollout. This looks more like water's running down it from... It's more like water's running down from the cover. And water's running down there. And then your chimney, you're supposed to have 3 inches of clearance between the wood members and the chimney. You'll probably never have a problem with that. But I'm supposed to tell you. So I did. That's what I'm supposed to say. Now this is interesting. This is the gas grill. I haven't looked at it real good. In fact, it's beyond the scope. Looks like I might have to turn it on here. Or does that go into the... Yeah, it goes to both. But here's the interesting part. These are those same soffit vents I was talking about. The same soffit vents. Those are air intake vents into your attic. To ventilate your attic. That's what they're there for. This is your grill. It's here to cook. And give it that outdoor grill taste and smell. That's what it's here for. It's going to be smoking and off-gassing and taking that barbecue smell, and that's going to be running it right up into your attic. Right up into your attic. That might be acceptable if you can find the instructions, the manufacturer's installation instructions. They may say that their model doesn't do that. I don't know. I have no idea. So I do know it's close to that. I mean, you just can't. Kind of hard. What's been seen cannot be unseen. I'm not going to find any, but I'm going to look. No GFCI. No GFCI on the exterior. Moving on along. Is this what I think it is? Yeah, it is. It's an invisible screen. They sell these at the state fair. It's a little beyond the scope of what I do, but it looks like it's doing all right. Looks like it's doing all right. Moving on along. I hope I got enough battery. I should have checked that before we started. Moving on along. Got a little bit of separation right in here. Got a little bit of freeze board separation right up there. Got some more. We walked right past it on the southeast corner of the garage. Now these windows, we're on the west side here. Your windows are supposed to have at least 2 degrees pitch to properly divert water off of the wall. And a lot of the areas on these windows, some of them might be 2, maybe. Some of them are 1. There's not enough pitch on these window ledge bricks. the builder, 13 years ago, he should have taken them all out and redid them so that they'd have enough pitch, like the other windows do around the rest of the house. Okay, we've had a little bit of foundation repair here or something, right in there. Now this is interesting, because I really think I can't find the water heater temperature pressure relief valve drain line terminations, but this is right about where the water heater is. That would be for these safety pans. And yes, you can, some people think you can't, but you can commingle water heater safety pan drains. You can't commingle temperature pressure relief valve drains, but regardless, this drain right here, for the time being, unless we find out it's something else, because it might be, but let's just assume that I'm right for the moment, and it's not supposed to be any farther from the ground than 6 inches. Not supposed to be closer than 3, but no farther than 6. So this drain line is too high if it's what I think it is. And there's got another one. So, okay, not a good sign. Not a good sign. Because I know the safety pans are commingled. This, by outward appearances, the temperature pressure relief valve drains are commingled. And what I just say about that? Yep, that's what I said. You can commingle the pans, but you can't commingle the valves. So there we go. Now, if I'm not just talking out my bobo, then it'd be reasonable to assume this belongs to the inspected house, or if you're my client, your new home, your potential new home, and it is more than twice its height away from it. So in theory, this retaining wall. Let's see how it looks down here. Yeah, about the same. So in theory, this retaining wall should not affect the foundation. It might, I don't know, but that's what I was taught. This is the water pressure coming into the house. Got a little bit of cracking in here. Just a little bit. Little stuff. You're going to see it. It's here. How much PSI do we have? Okay, we got just a little under 60. You're supposed to have between 40 and 80. 60's between 40 and 80. It's right there in the middle. That's pretty good. Pretty good. Moving along, we're coming right back where we started. So I'm going to run around the corner and I'm going to show you that freeze board that I was so happy about. You're getting the bonus trip here. I've got a still image of it, but I kind of like to. And then we'll look at that kick-out flashing one more time. How about that? Are you with me still? See that separation right there? That's soffit. And that's freeze board right next to the brick. Right there. That's where it's separating. And then we're going to come around here. Uncle Bud just doesn't want to let you go. Come on, Uncle Bud. I got to go hang out with my friend. No, I got another story for you. Okay. You see where that water's been running off because of the kick-out flashing. And I got a still image of this. And I also have abandonment issues, but I'm just going to have to turn it off now. Thank you very much for putting up with me again.